if you're investing, betting on the future of these companies growing a lot, you have to look at the other side that not that many make it over the fence. And so the mortality rate is pretty high. So there are 2 or 3 lessons from that. One is stick with the small and nano caps, okay? Because a lot of companies are basically in capitalism never going to get to 200 million or 400 million or 500 million. They're just never going to get there. They have a higher chance of getting to 10 million, 15 million, 20 million or something. That's a lot easier than 200 or 400 million. So I think moats get filled in far more frequently and far more quickly than most of us would think they should get filled in. And so your defense against that is the PE of 1. So that's the only way to protect yourself. So the PE of 1s are good for your health because you take your cash out after the first year, or maybe after a couple of years, and then you don't particularly care. But one of the things Buffett was mentioning, I think in the late 90s, he was saying that, I think this was when the dot-com bubble was peaking. Maybe it was the year 2000 or 99. I think 99. Basically, he was saying that if you looked for companies that are making more than 200 million after tax in the United States, and this is, let's say, in the year 2000, there's like 400 of them. 400 companies in the US in around 2000 were making over 200 million after tax a year. And he said that the US at the time had been around for like 225 years or 224 years. And in 224 years of open capitalism with millions of companies, you ended up with just 400 companies that got to enough success to make 200 million a year. And I recently ran that number for today. So I said, let's change the 200 to like 500 because, there's been all these years of inflation and expenses and all of that. And the number of companies today that make more than 500 million a year in the US is less than 500. And so the thing is that between 2000 and 2018, a huge number of businesses got formed, and there were a lot of businesses that were emerging at that time as well. And one of the reasons Buffett made that point was that he said that these companies making 200 million basically deserve, if they were going to continue making that money, probably deserved a market cap over 3 billion. If you give it a 15 multiple or something. But the number of companies making over 3, at that time with a market cap over 3 billion was many times that number, was in the thousands. And part of it was at that time we had the dot-com bubble going on. I think he wanted to prove the point that a huge number of these companies are going to disappoint because they're not going to end up with those. They're never going to produce the 200 million to justify the 3 billion. And so even today, 18 more years have passed, and we've had all this tech and everything else that's happened, and the cloud, and all these things that have happened, and those numbers haven't changed that much. And so the bottom line is that if you're investing, betting on the future of these companies growing a lot, you have to look at the other side that not that many make it over the fence. And so the mortality rate is pretty high. And so there are 2 or 3 lessons from that. One is stick with the small and nano caps. Okay, because a lot of companies are basically in capitalism never going to get to 200 million or 400 million or 500 million. They're just never going to get there. They have a higher chance of getting to 10 million, 15 million, 20 million or something. That's a lot easier than 200 or 400 million. And the second is, take care of commandment number 4, focus on the PE of 1s. So I think moats uh, you have to approach moats with a jaundiced eye. I mean, if I go back to this company in Turkey, the cement company. So one of the issues that comes up in cement, and one of the reasons why it's such a terrible business in India, is there are limited barriers to entry. I mean, there are some barriers in the sense that in India, the limestone deposits are only in certain parts of the country. Access to coal also is a little bit, it's not a given that you may have access to cheap coal or cheap power. But a lot of people can get past those three variables, and they'll definitely get past those three variables if you're making a lot of money. So even in Turkey, this company, I mean, the thing I have to think about is if they really get into great times. I mean, today I think the thing is the replacement cost, at which I questioned the CFO on, the replacement cost makes it prohibitive for them to put up new capacity. But at some point, if the numbers change, then I'm not sure how strong those barriers are. They may be enduring for a while, or they may not. I just don't know right now. So I think the thing is that you have to recognize that people are constantly looking, just the nature of capitalism, to destroy your moat. They're just constantly looking to destroy your moat. And so what you really want to look for, and there are very few enduring moats. So you have to really look far and wide. One of the interesting things about these enduring moats is many times the market doesn't price them any higher than the non-enduring moats. Sometimes market can't distinguish between enduring and non-enduring. And so if you can really identify an enduring moat, which are very few, and get into those, then life can be really good. But I think the P of one is your protection against the illusional moats, if you will.
Many investors have a huge misconception. A low stock price means higher chances of becoming a multibagger. In simple words, people think penny stocks is equal to quick multibaggers. But that is absolutely wrong. A stock does not become a multibagger because its price is small. It becomes a multibagger because the business can grow big. To understand whether a company can really grow, we must look at its market capitalization. That is, number of shares outstanding multiplied by stock price. MCAP tells you what you really pay to buy that company entirely. Think of it as the business total valuation. Let's keep the enterprise value discussion for another video. Let me explain this with the two simple examples. And then I'll share my personal experience of a stock that gave me 3.5x returns. Take HDFC Bank. If you are expecting HDFC Bank to become a multi-bagger in short time, you are mistaken. The market cap is massive, and the bank is already a leader in the industry. Even if the banking industry grows at a 10%, HDFC Bank will grow roughly at the same pace. But smaller, high-quality banks with lower AUM can grow at 20% or more because they are scaling from a small base. Similarly, consider the paint industry. Asian Paints controls almost 50% market share. The decorative paint industry itself is valued at around 700 billion and growing in single digits. For Asian Paints to grow faster, it must either steal market share or grow faster than the entire industry. Both extremely tough for a giant. Warren Buffett once said, "Size is the enemy of performance." And this is exactly what happens with the large companies. Growth slows down. Now you are starting to see how to estimate a company's growth potential. Let's go deeper with a powerful example. Cera Sanitaryware. Back in 2022, Cera was valued at 300 million. With a top line of roughly 150 million, Cera was already a strong and well-known brand. During that period, it achieved its highest ever top line and bottom line. Capacity utilization was 112%. It was a market leader in sanitary ware, and it had one of the largest manufacturing facilities for sanitary ware, zero debt company, and a 41 years of legacy. And 58 million cash was lying in the balance sheet, about 18% of the market capitalization. With all this, I genuinely felt that the valuation was still undervalued. So I invested in a fundamentally strong growing brand. And what happened later? In just 2 years, by August 2024, the company became a 100 billion company, a massive 3.5x return. I booked profits in September 2024. So what happened here? It wasn't luck. It was a simple, clean observation. When screening for multibaggers focus on What is the market capitalization? And what is the industry size? And also industry growth rate. The company's position inside that industry. That's where the easy multibaggers hide. As Peter Lynch famously said, big companies does not make big moves, but the right mid-caps and small caps with strong brands and long runways often do. So the next time you search for your next multibagger, think business first, not the stock price.